duo. The duo. The duo.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Dane, microphone good? Everything good?
Yeah, Deonte, my microphone is good, man. I remember to pull it up closer this time and not be a complete goob. And I just
Okay.
was feeling all full of myself and accomplished because I was for once on time.
Yeah.
And had a headset ready, all that. Go ahead, man.
Partly my fault too. I heard you like in my headphones. I heard you clearly, and then you can kind of tell when we went back and listened to it. It's like, oh, it's a little different. But hey, if y'all been rocking with us for 74, 75 episodes now, you know we make mistakes, but you know you coming for the content, and we will always strive to get our quality to where it is. And shout out to Chappelle. He had us both rolling when he was like, man, should I tell him? Or he said he was not in this office when we brought it up.
Yeah, man. I was so pissed off at myself, bro, because it's like something so literally we've done at least 74 other times. And I, for whatever reason, I decided to that 74th episode is like, oh, I'm just gonna forget to put my mic, close over here. So, I was like, come on, dude, really? Like it was, good podcast. I mean, obviously I might be a little biased.
Just a tad bit, right?
Yeah,
just a tad bit. Appreciate you, man. Always, we gonna keep rocking with it. And if you're still listening and watching with us 75 episodes in, then you're still rocking with us as well. And we appreciate it. Episode 75 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast. My name is Deonte Epps, joined by my brother, my ace, my best man, Dane Beasley. Besides last week's microphone mishap, how you doing on this new week, my guy?
Good, man. I got blood in my eyes, ready to put my hands on somebody. Something keeps being brought up, but it's all good. It's all
right.
Love.
That's my last time bringing it up. I promise.
Love. It's all love. Hey, no.
All good in the hood.
Yeah. I was trying to think. I was like, I ain't never had to go to fisticuffs with any of my close friends before. We wrestled and stuff. Nothing crazy.
Now we never got down like that. I'm trying to think any of my. I don't know if Malcolm listens to the pod. I remember one time we were like in maybe like 5th, 6th grade, and I used to always go over his and his family's house over the summer. Like, you ever had somebody like you can chill? Nah, this is how it went down, right?
Oh, I gotta hear both sides. I gotta hear both sides. But go ahead,
hear both sides.
Yeah, I'm listening. I want to see your account and his.
It was during the summer where you're like, you stay over your friend's house for like days
at a time.
You don't go home. Like, you just go home to get clothes, some fresh stuff and all that. And you come back, used to play games all day. I can't remember what the argument was about. It was probably over video games. He might say the same, but it wasn't even like a fight. It was just like a wrestle, but we were both pissed.
We were both two guys working some stuff out.
Yeah. It was back in the we used to play SmackDown on the multi-tap. Remember the multi-tap on PlayStation 2? And I don't remember how this particular fight
just ended, but
I remember one particular time, man. My family and I were about to go to Dallas. So I had to leave and go out of town, and him and his brother stole my dang multi-tap so they could play SmackDown. Oh no, they stole my SmackDown game. I can't remember which year it was. They replaced my game, like they gave me the case back, but they put another game in there. So when I went to Dallas, bro, thinking I'm about to continue my career mode on SmackDown, and it was something like Twisted Metal or something like that. With Twisted Metal, I can't remember what the game was they replaced.
But it
I
was
was so pissed. Yeah. It was not SmackDown, bro. But it happens. It happens growing up, and it's fun to look.
The best thing about it is when you're close enough. It was like, all right, man. We just gotta get this off, and then we can go right back to normal.
Yeah.
Too many now. You really can't. I mean, I don't know about this generation. I'm not. I don't know too many kids outside of family members, but I don't know how that's going to play out with them now because everything is just so, social media and like it can't never end with someone just losing the fight. It's like, you got the best of it. All right, man, we good. Yeah, man.
I got to one up you, and I got to
coming back with more people coming back with more people trying to try to jump you, or some other situations bringing knives and guns to the situation just
Unfortunately.
because of a little tussle. But
Yeah.
it's strange the way we are now, or where we've come now, and it feels even stranger to me talking about it in such a sense where I'm just like so old, and it's not even that. It's just back in my day, things are a little
We
different.
are
So
old, bro.
yeah, we are, we are, we are, we are.
Yeah, man. But it's always good to look back and think of how much you've grown up and how times have changed, and realizing where you are as a man. As a man. But yeah, we got a nice little docket on
This guy.
today's episode 75. Appreciate you if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, watching on Spotify as well, and on YouTube. And don't forget, you can give us 5 stars on Apple and a review, a rating as well, and on Spotify, 5 stars, all those good things. And Dane, on the docket today, we'll talk about Juwan Howard and his infamous punch, slap, mush, whatever.
Shove
We'll talk about that in particular because
hands.
people don't know what a punch is apparently, or a mush or a slap. And so we'll talk about that, and we'll talk about the NCAA once again and what they are talking about doing as regards to NIL. This past weekend was All-Star Weekend, Dane. We'll talk about the dunk contest, 3-point shootout, and also some interesting comments from your boy LeBron James and what he said about his son coming to the NBA. On the NFL docket next week, Dane, is the Combine, so maybe we'll see General Homeboy make an appearance next week. And there was some issues, some issues this past week with the Combine as far as what the NFL and NFLPA could agree on as far as how they want to have the bubble or not, things of that nature. We'll get into that. Brian Flores has landed at a new spot in the NFL. We'll talk about that.
Interesting.
Aaron Rodgers doing Aaron Rodgers like things.
Cryptic, if you will.
Very, very cryptic, very attention hungry, I will say, and we'll get into that. XFL NFL partnership announced this past week. We'll talk about that, and then we'll get into our nerdy news segment, and of course, our brand new segment, What Y'all Want, where our listeners send voice messages about topics they want to discuss. Are you ready to roll, my guy?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Juwan Howard, head coach, University of Michigan basketball, made headlines. Probably the biggest headline of the past week, last few days, man. They played against Wisconsin, Dane. And after the game, Wisconsin won by like 14, 13. After the game, in the handshake line, you can kind of see that there was a...
what led up to, give him a little brief,
yes,
what led up to, essentially.
So... Wisconsin was up maybe, like, basically the game was decided. They were up by double digits. It was over with. Yeah, the game was over with, and Wisconsin had their reserves in, I believe, and Michigan decided to press down double scores or double digits, and Wisconsin's coach, Greg Gard, called a timeout. He was saying in order to, adjust to the press that Michigan was doing.
Was trolling.
Apparently,
was trolling.
Who was trolling? Wisconsin's coach?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was trolling. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish.
Oh, you good. We're gonna get into it. And then, Wisconsin called a timeout late in the game. Juwan Howard didn't like that, and so when the handshake line ensued, you could see at first there was kind of a grab by Wisconsin's coach Greg Gard. And then you see Juwan Howard kind of say, well, you can't see him say he has his mask on, but he wasn't too kind of that. And there was a discussion at first, and then it kind of turned into some pushing and jiving, and both benches kind of got into it. And you can see Juwan Howard put what we call, Dane, a mush, where you, well, look, Dane, you define a mush. Would you agree that it was a mush and not a punch?
I would, yes. And
okay.
In my line of work, we review quite a bit of these type of situations and altercations, fisticuffs, brawls, things of that nature. This, in my expert opinion, would be I would call it a mush. commonly something that's done by perhaps sometimes rappers, maybe some R&B guys. In the midst of an intense exchange of words, a hand goes out and says, with a
An
disrespectful
open
intent,
hand.
of
Yep.
course, yes, and you simply push the other person, causing them to either launch their head in a certain direction, but just the ultimate objective is to let them know that I have the upper hand, I'm the man, and you are the peasant.
Yeah.
That's genuinely what goes on in these type of situations, as I have observed in my career as a mush
As
slash
a mush
fight.
analyst,
Yes,
a
as a
mush
mush
expert
analyst, definitely a 8.7 out of 10 on the mush scale.
on the mush scale.
See if he stepped into it a little bit harder. I think it could have got itself more of a 9.2, maybe somewhere close to that. But my expert opinion is definitely a mush.
Yeah. So there you have it. That is a mush. A lot of the first tweets coming from different analysts, tweet guys, whatever you want to call them, calling it a punch. It was a mush, and he mushed the assistant coach, and you kind of see some players kind of swinging back and forth. But all in all, Juwan Howard ended up getting a 5-game suspension along with a $40,000 fine. Had a players get suspended 1 game apiece. Wisconsin's coach, this is probably the most interesting part, Dane. Wisconsin coach Greg Gard did not get suspended. He only got a $10,000 fine for violating the conference sportsmanship policy. I think there was an incident before last year with Juwan Howard, which I don't know if I can't remember exactly what it was, but when this dropped, I thought it was like a retread of what happened before, but it was, it happened again. And so with the 5-game suspension for Juwan Howard, I honestly, I agree with, because he's had a situation like this before. Not putting total blame on him, because it seems like he was provoked if you look at the video where the other coach kind of like grabbed him. But I mean, it's wrong to, I don't know if it was exactly, he claims he was defending himself in the first comments that he made, but he later apologized. But I think the 5-game suspension for Juwan Howard is a good kind of parameter, but I don't agree with not suspending Wisconsin's coach. I feel like he played a part in escalating it with, not even during the escalation or the, what do you want to call the scrabble, but even afterwards where he did the DX suck it. I don't know if you saw that part. He did the DX, I'm talking about Degeneration X suck it, motion towards the Michigan bench. But
effect.
Yeah, I don't know what the Big Ten's kind of parameter was for that, for not suspending Greg Gard. I think that was a mistake. I think he should have at least got a game or two. I think Juwan Howard's, I'm not surprised that he got the 5-game suspension, because, I mean, he's had previous incidents before, and I think that's why the 5-game penalty was dropped. What you think? Oh, deep side. I know you finna come with it.
See, here's the thing. We have, all I care about is fairness, right? We have seen plenty of times over the course of many years, different situations take place, different people doing things that are outside the quote unquote unwritten rules or whatever have you. Plenty of instances where this happens. But so many times we have these people that break these rules or have these infractions, we tend to overreact, especially within the first few days or whatever the case may be. I like to take a historical look at it. Historical context.
Break it down for me, bro.
So we've had coaches we've seen coaches get on the Summer Jam screen with, drinking and driving, almost killing people.
Or killing.
We've had, or killing. And I think
Jim Boeheim.
Yeah. And the situation itself is interesting. It's like, man, there's 2 or 3 coaches you can think of that had these way more serious infractions get far less of a suspension So I'm thinking maybe they're just trying to set an example here, or I can't call it. Look, as the old school folks, I can't call it, but obviously it's an overreaction because this is pretty fresh. This is very, I don't know. Point blank being, I think it was an overreaction. Obviously, you being in a position like that, in a position of power and leading groups of young men, you have to conduct yourself in such a way that's not only honorable, but that you can honestly say that you look back on and say, I'm proud of myself. That didn't happen.
Which
Obviously, I'm
when you
sure.
said I'm sorry to cut you off. When you said it's an overreaction, it's an overreaction from who? The Big Ten for the punishment?
Overreaction by the media. No, overreaction by the media. Overreaction by those who hand down the punishment. Not to.
So you
This is
think
not
his
to say.
punishment should have been less?
Yeah, absolutely. Not 5 games worth. Like, especially from the stuff we
Even if
like.
he's had incidents before?
Yeah, because we're not talking about, oh, this guy, this guy had a hamster fighting ring, and he, of course, he punched 3 of his players in the past. And what about that time that he, stormed off into the middle of a conference and grabbed the guy by his, collar? Like, we're not talking about situations like that. We're talking about small stuff. Obviously, you want to make sure that you're treating everybody that has a position like that fairly, but at the same time, 5 games for an open, an open palmed move here. I mean, it's just weird. There's nothing you can say to justify his actions. Obviously, right? I'm not on that train saying, hey man, he just needs to they didn't lay up. No, that's not what I'm saying. But 5 games just seems like a little too much. But that's just my opinion. But for real, it's just an overreaction. We've seen plenty of times in other sports, benches being cleared and people, throwing like legit throwing hands. We have a few professional sports where it's okay to throw hands. And for the most part, it's encouraged to have the back of your teammate. And we don't see, 5 game suspensions and instances like that, obviously. But, it is what it is. It's sending a message to ensure that this type of thing doesn't happen again, or to deter it from happening again. But, free Coach Howard.
I think we might disagree on this one, my guy. I can't even find
I definitely disagree with you.
Yeah, I think like for him, and he's apologized now. I just think it's a situation, man, and I'm not trying to put him in a box or a kind of a stigma or anything, but I mean, you can't mush people, bro.
But this is the most chill. Like, think about it. He's the most chill guy from the Fab Five. This is like, wait,
I agree.
So it's like, whoa, you okay? Surely, there must be something else at play here. Let's just go ahead and suspend him for about 2 games, like that kind of thing. Like, but 5 games, just 5 games seems excessive. And obviously, there's going to be a difference.
So we just agree on the number.
Cool with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I said, it just seemed like excessive. Like,
yeah. Whatever people are calling for him to be fired, which that's definitely extreme.
Of course.
We kind of know a glimpse of kind of who those people are. But
he should be thankful that he even has a job coaching, that we gave him this job. Yeah, I know the kind. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't agree with Greg Gard not getting any kind of suspension at all. $10,000 fine is not anything to this guy, but I think the altercation began with him touching Juwan Howard. And so I agree with Juwan Howard kind of feeling the way he did, how he reacted, whether it's right or wrong. But what Greg Gard did with the touching in the beginning and then the gestures afterwards, I think that should have garnered some kind of suspension. But here we are, and Juwan Howard can return when conference tournament starts in a few weeks. But the hot takes are gonna fly incredibly crazy with people wanting him to be fired, and then I think Dick Vitale tweeted that the handshake line should be stopped. Like, I don't know. I got Dick Vitale. He's a college basketball staple. He's going through some things right now with his cancer treatment and all that. But I just don't agree with that take at all either, because I mean, I think that part is another part of the overreaction. Like, man, come on, man. Have we had incidents constantly pop up in handshake lines? Maybe one or, I don't think it's frequent enough to garner that big of a decision where that shouldn't happen. I mean, sportsmanship, I kind of think about, I take it back to, Dane, we didn't play college ball, but we played in high school. And I know a couple of times, like, where you don't get to talk to a guy. I mean, during the game, you're in the middle of the moment playing to your highest potential, trying to win the game. And, you may be going against somebody across the line from you that you have respect for, you admire the way he plays the game, whatever. And the handshake line is where you kind of tell them that. I mean, like, what kind of, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of athlete they were, how they play. Like, man, I respect you as a player. All these kind of things that I feel like the handshake line, kind of embodies, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if I'm going too deep on that, but I just think the Dick Vitale cutting the handshake thing all out is kind of excessive.
I don't know. And at the end of the day, shout out to Coach Howard for keeping his composure, all things considered. And I know the old heads liked it. Him getting his John Chaney on. So
yeah,
I ain't I'm not too pressed about it. If anything, this is just a little extra seasoning on the entire college basketball. A little seasoning on the college basketball outlook, especially as we get ahead of the tourney by
March is right around the corner.
I'm about to say tourney buy-ins. How do we get some more fan buy-in to the tournament? Well, this is certainly a good way to start. So, yeah,
getting all eyes on there for sure, bro. Yeah, bro.
Free
so free. We talk. I feel like almost every other episode or every episode we talk about NIL and NCAA, man. What is the NCAA in this next one? What are they talking about doing, bro? What they got on deck?
Let's see. Let me give a little bit of a snippet to the audience. Let me go
let's do that.
Let's see. Sorry, I don't know if this is my mortgage lender or not. Let me 1 second.
Take your time, brother. Dane's taking a call right now, and we'll be back right after these messages.
That's the whole issue I have, bro, is because you're in the house buying process. I don't want to ignore calls anymore and spam because I've been ignoring calls for like the past few years, but now
I still do
pick up every call because I'm like, okay, this could be my money guy, or this could be my builder, this could be my inspector, like all these things. I was like, every time I get a call, it's like, oh, let me take this. So it's helped me get out of a bunch of meetings though too. It works, so that's kind of a cool thing. I gotta take this. It's like I gotta take this.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we go. The headline alone should grab plenty of your attention. This is from The Athletic. The entire athletic staff was put out on February 19th. NCAA Board of Directors asking Division I Council to review impact of NIL on student athletes. So what does this thing, for those of you listening, where do you think this could be going? Like, this could be a situation like, hey, maybe they're talking about, increasing the earning potential for these athletes, or it could be a sense of, wait a minute, I think we've given these guys a little bit too much power. We need to ring this back in. Let's get our team on the line and see what's going on here. Yep. We need to put a stop to this type of situation. Latter. Yeah, so it's one thing. It's not only untimely, but it seems like there hasn't even been a single year, like a full year of this being on the table before you guys try to ruin and piss on the parade. Like, we finally get some sort of equal ground against any type of competitive advantages that some big programs might have over smaller programs. We finally get that, and here we go again. Like it's frustrating. It's frustrating, Deonte, because we haven't.
It's too little, too late. Like, we talked about this, on many episodes before, when we brought Jay Billis in, he talked about the impact of it and how the NCAA has been dragging their feet on almost all the big time issues when it comes to NIL. And this is just like a too little too late. Like when I first read this, I was like, man, what? And I'm sure teams are like, what are you going to do at this point? Right. Because
cat's already out the bag.
The cat's already out the bag. Like, we've seen these crazy NIL deals, and shout out to the guys that are getting these deals, right? Make your money.
Right.
Like we talked about this. There's an interesting part of the article, and I will link this article in the description for the podcast for people that want to read it as well.
Oh yeah, I completely got away from reading it because I got so pissed off about it again. Sorry,
it's fine. Basically, it's just the board of directors are trying to figure out, okay, how can we, like Dane mentioned, how can we bring this back in? These crazy deals are coming from left and right, from the NIL.
Too much money being made.
Too much money being made, essentially. And like you had mentioned, Dan, hadn't even been a full year. NIL went in effect on July 1st. And we've seen all these crazy deals. But the interesting part of this article, it says what factors led to the review, led to this, decision.
Somebody snitching. That's what it is.
In a sense, yes. And so it says NIL money has exploded into a recruiting tool quicker than many administrators had envisioned. With talks of NIL football recruiting pools getting larger than 10 million through collectives and practically an admission from the NCAA that it can't do anything to enforce the rules, these administrators want to figure out a way to get a hold of it. There are plenty of smaller social media focused NIL deals for athletes, which was expected and encouraged. But boosters, this is the crazy part, the boosters and fans pulling money together to land high school recruits or transfers is something they want to take a look at. So like these aren't, like that was part of the NIL deal. Like it can't be the schools paying the players. Like it can't be from the schools. And so what we've seen, it's been boosters, it's been fans, like it's been like dealership, like all these, different entities that
they're not associated with the school. They're not on the school's payroll, technically.
Right. And I will say this, I will ask you a question about this because I think there is that part where like the smaller, like, this is going to be an advantage, or I think it's an advantage for the bigger schools that have the money, like the USCs, the LSUs, the Florida States, right? So the disadvantage comes to those smaller schools that don't have the necessary cash or, the people, boosters or whatever supporting. Do you, okay. I see you say, and do you agree that that's a disadvantage to those smaller schools that don't have the loot to get those recruits?
No, I don't think it's a disadvantage at all. The only reason why I say that, the main reason why I said it is just it depends on who these schools are hiring, what type of players or what type of adults in leadership are you putting around your programs to ensure they're not only drawing in the players that you want, but you get your foot in the door to even talk to them. Because some players, not only potential players, but some family members, you're not even gonna get your foot in the door if you're just sending any bozo head coach out here. So it depends on who you got in the forefront. I said that to say this. One prime example that I have, and it's the only example that I'm going to use, Deion Sanders. We saw what Deion Sanders has been doing over the past few months, the guys that he's been stealing from these Power 5, conference. Like, it's insane in an amazing way. This is insane, what he's been able to do in flipping some of these.
Go
ahead, man.
I'll let you finish. No, finish.
I forgot my train of thought. Go ahead, brother.
I'm sorry. It sounded like you were on a roll too.
I was, but it's all good.
The number one, what was the name of the recruit that he signed? Travis. Did he sign an NIL deal?
Yeah, I think it was something with Barstool, maybe something. It might have been a Barstool.
Right, and if it's Barstool, that's Deion right there.
True, but again, he can't help it if Barstool decides they want to reach out to him and provide any type of monetary incentives for him to come play for him like that. He can't help that. Right. And the same way, if we're going to take him.
No, I was going to say that's the thing, because the question was essentially like the schools that don't have that money, right? So technically, I mean,
big schools. You said
big
Barstool. This isn't a big school.
No, I'm saying it's a small school, but it has that advantage of Deion with Barstool.
Right. That's because the school decided to bring a particular person like that onto their campus to put them in charge
Okay,
of bringing
I
in.
see what you're
Like,
saying. Now,
the whole point I'm trying to make is the small schools can't help being small schools. That's what it is.
mm-hmm.
However, they have the ability to bring in key pieces to to ensure that their program can compete with those bigger schools. They might not
Yeah.
have the athletes on day one, but they can. If you flip a recruit like that, the number one athlete in the country, if you flip a recruit like that, that is going to send a ripple effect to athletes nationwide about, you know what, there might be something going on over there at Jackson. Like, I need to go check that out, see what's going on with that one. I want to see what
Yeah.
that be like. I'm trying to get a
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? So
for me, I just can't put. I think Jackson State is a different category. I know what you're saying about what Deion brings to Jackson State through his, but
Right.
that's like still through his deal. Like, so if
Allegedly.
you have like a man, you know, okay,
allegedly,
allegedly.
We ain't about to talk about it on these other big programs, but you gonna single out Deion. We ain't finna do that.
No,
So
I'm saying the argument was small school.
It is a small school.
Right.
Small
So
enough.
we're saying the same thing essentially. But I can't put Jackson State in that.
I thought you were trying to put an asterisk beside my one example that I was only going to use. Because,
no. Yeah, I was just saying I can't put Jackson State in that small school category because they have Deion, who has Barstool. That makes sense.
I guess.
I like this. We don't disagree a lot.
I see what you're doing.
But I will agree with you on this. You said the schools have to make sure they bring in a guy that can handle it and can, be reputable and
get their foot in that door.
Right. And I will say that, and I will take it another angle.
What's up?
Like when the NIL deal dropped, it changed college football forever. Thanks. Right. And I think for those schools that still want to compete on that level, and they don't have the money, like it's more important now than ever to get a head coach that can build relationships with guys, like not based on what they can give them and on a money front. Like if you're here for education, that's going to be, I think there's still top recruits out there that aren't looking for NIL deals. They're looking for like an education. They're looking for a chance to win a championship. Whatever it may be, like NIL is not a priority on every single recruit's list. So I think it's important for the schools to get coaches that can kind of navigate the NIL situation for sure, but also like actually connect with these student athletes and build trust with them, build a connection, communication, those kind of things to where like I'm committing because of X, Y, and Z that's besides the NIL thing. Like that makes sense. I think that's important because the small schools, they probably won't ever, like be able to compete on the money scale. So where can you be an advantage going against those other teams?
All it takes is one.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just we're gonna, with them finally allowing players to make a dime or a buck off of their own selves. It's not only a breath of fresh air, but it gives them a hope and opportunity to start being businessmen. Because the end goal, you look at, I say 99% of the guys that go play college ball, the end goal is I want to go to the NFL. And I'm gonna say 99% because I don't know all of them, but many of them, when you hear them talk, when you hear them in interviews, when you hear them in pressers, the goal is to make it to the next level, to be the best, compete on the biggest stage. And what bigger stage than the National Football League? To get there is not only a dream, but you're being at the ideal program, or being at an ideal program, provides you with the opportunity to get there. Getting to those big universities or even small universities, with these athletes having the ability to make money off of themselves, that's huge. 18-year-olds, sometimes 17-year-olds. You tell them, hey, you have the opportunity to make a few $100,000 just because you are who you are, and hey, by the way, if you appear in this commercial, you can blah 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 blah. Like, that's huge. So for me to to just sit here and act like to sit here and not make a big deal out of it, because it is a big deal when you have these guys that don't even allow a year for something to take place to try to backpedal and say, wait a minute, we've seen this is getting a little bit too big. No, and I love conspiracies. I'm putting on my tinfoil do-rag.
Do it.
This has Dabo Swinney written all over it. I'm blaming all this on him. He's been a hater since before this even became a thing. Before this became reality, he's been a hater for players, having or empowering players and them being able to make decisions, and of course being influenced to make decisions based on extrinsic motivation, if you will. So I think this is Dabo's fault. You know what? If I'm going to name a snitch, it's Dabo. Dabo probably did this. He probably took a picture of a player, accepting some money from a booster at another university. Like, hey man, this doesn't look right, and sent it in an anonymous email to the powers that be. So this is his fault.
Oh, we don't have any Clemson fans on the pod.
Yeah, that dude's been a hater, man. That dude's been a hater.
He's not been fond of players getting paid. Didn't he say he was gonna retire?
Yeah, the day that players get paid or something like that.
I ended up coaching.
I'm like, bro, you realize that you have had one of the most successful programs in the last 10 or 15 years. And you mean to tell me that no type of coloring outside the lines has led you to that? That's what you finna lie to me, tell us? So now that the playing fields are even, now it's a problem because everybody else is essentially getting to do it the same thing that you and pretty much any other big program has been doing.
And we talked about this too, and we get on a tangent, but I had to say this part with the
Dabo
thing. I think like that goes back to other issues that certain coaches were having, along with the NIL, with the transfer portal as well, when players can have the decision to go where they want.
I love it.
But they do it all the time, right? They leave
middle of the season sometimes, right
middle
before
of the
bowl
season,
games.
middle of the recruiting, like right when recruiting started. The Manny Diaz situation we talked about years ago.
Sit in somebody's living room and promise them that they have an opportunity to compete for a starting job, and then 2 weeks later you gone to another university, bringing half of your damn players with you. I ain't trying to hear it. Nope.
Oh, how the turntables. Oh, how the turntables. But yeah. Basically, Dane, like we both said, the NCAA is kind of in another too late or too little too late situations, but we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah. Man, so this past weekend, Dane, NBA had its All-Star weekend in Cleveland. Snooze Fest. I asked you before we recorded in our pre-production meeting if you had watched the I got to keep it professional, the pre-pro. If you watched the any All-Star weekend festivities, you said you watched.
To which I replied, I watched enough. I watched what I needed to see. Which wasn't very much.
There's a lot of debate on the dunk contest once again. I feel like we have this conversation every year about the dunk contest in the NBA. And in my notes I put NBA All-Star Weekend. I put dunk contest cook with a question mark, and I think it's cooked.
He getting cooked.
There was a percentage. Somebody had put the percentage of. I don't think any participant in the dunk contest made their first attempt on a dunk. Their percentages they were like 26% on dunks, which is less than the 3-point contest. So put that in perspective.
Okay.
But Obi Toppin ended up winning from the New York Knicks. There were no 50s handed out.
The Knicks won.
Yeah, Knicks won something. But yeah, there were no 50s handed out. I don't know if that's a first, but it kind of reminds me of where we are with the Pro Bowl in the NFL. I mean, they're different situations. The NFL Pro Bowl is kind of where players don't want to get hurt. They're putting on pads, but it's really touch football. Dunk contest, it just seems like they're trying to tweak the rules every year, but it just seems like it's unbearable to watch. Like that's where it's on the same level as the Pro Bowl. Like you can't. I watched it just to be able to talk about it on the pod, but it was so bad, bro. It's
I
probably the
appreciate your
worst
noble
competition.
sacrifice.
Yeah, I laid it down for the pod, but I don't know what can be done. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. What'd you think of All-Star Weekend from what you watched or what you saw, man?
Deonte, I have long applauded the efforts that the NBA or the culture that NBA All-Star Weekend has built. An entire weekend of an events where you get to see celebrities, players, former players, entertainers, all collide into one big pot for a few weeks, for a few days out of the weekend. Let alone, I mean, obviously, with it being in the middle of the season, that's also juicy, keeps it juicy because we still have our best basketball has yet to come. The issue that I have is not that the All-Star Weekend was a letdown. It was the fact that the All-Star Weekend was a letdown, and in the same season, the NFL Pro Bowl was a letdown. We have always had situations in the past where one was good, one was bad. They both were good. This is the first time I can remember or recall, someone correct me if I'm wrong, that both professional sports that I enjoy watching, they both flopped during that particular weekend in terms of. Go ahead.
You just meant the dunk contest in general or the All-Star game? I actually enjoyed the All-Star game.
I'll leave the All-Star game out of it. But
yeah,
the dunk we essentially, if you're thinking of if you're considering events that you have to watch, dunk contest, celebrity All-Star
like stuff
game,
that's going to be on social media, right?
3-point contest, that's the kind of things you got. That's what you look for. The dunk contest was awful. 3-point contest.
Who won the 3-point contest? Oh, Anthony Towns.
The best big man, the best shooting big man in NFL history.
I don't know what he's talking about with that.
NBA history. Like, what the heck?
Anyway,
CT. I don't know.
I don't think the 3-point, like the past few years, the 3-point contest to me has been okay. Like, I mean,
I'm saying like overall
experience.
To me, the overall experience of the can't see or can't miss moments on NBA All-Star Weekend, those particular moments, it flopped. In my opinion, it flopped. Obviously, the game itself, that's different. I'm gonna put that in the whole category by itself. But it flopped for the most part. And this is, for me at least, Dane B's point of view. This is the first time in a long time where both professional sports in that particular setting flopped big time or just underperformed or didn't sell me. I wasn't wowed. I wasn't like, oh, I gotta watch this. Like, you think of dunk contest with, and this is recent. Your Blake Griffins. Whew, excuse me. Your Dwight Howard's, the theatrics with the cape. Like, we didn't have that moment.
And then the Aaron Gordon, and Zach LaVine dunk contest. That was probably the last great one.
The last great one. And that one, was great because it ended with so many people to this day pissed off that the person they didn't think won. But it's like, we didn't have that moment, bro. Like, obviously.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
I was to say, how do you change, or what?
I got a solution.
What do you do? Okay.
Many times I have problems and I'll rant about it and vent about it on the podcast, and I was like, I don't have
like, a solution. What would you do, Dane?
What you do? Yeah. So we got to change up the format a little bit. We got to get a little creative. Oftentimes we don't even have the best dunkers in the NBA participating in the
players don't even want to. They don't even want to be a part of it.
We have to incentivize it. How do you incentivize it? The thing that makes the dunks, or the things that makes dunking in the NBA amazing and memorable, is the situation, the timeliness, and the person that inevitably gets dunked on and gets put on a poster.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
We have to have this in some sort of fashion format situation where there is a defender and a ball handler. Pause. And a situation where your defender is trying to prevent or trying not to end up on the poster. And of course, your ball handler, your person that's in the dunk contest, is trying to put the other person on a poster. Trying to put the other person on a poster. Hey, trying to say that fast. Trying to put the other person on a poster. Okay. We gotta have that. We gotta have that situation, and obviously, it changes everything because we haven't had that in the past in the formal dunk contest. It's always been like one person out there, Jordan taking off from the free throw line, or somebody jumping over a car, or somebody using a celebrity prop holding the ball up, or somebody doing blindfold or trying to do a blindfold. Like it's always been something like that. But the only solution I have at this point, somebody's got to get dunked on. There has to be a sacrificial lamb, and there's again that's probably not going to happen.
Yeah,
but if you're asking me a solution, that's all I got.
I think I actually like that idea. I think we've gotten to the point, like you mentioned, where stars don't want to be in the dunk contest anymore. So I think my solution would be get those social media, YouTube dunkers that be doing these insane dunks on the web or whatever, and you bring them on the big stage and you have them do crazy dunks on the big stage at All-Star Weekend. I mean, why not?
I get
just because we don't know who they are.
True, and it's like this is the
because a lot of the times I've seen
the NBA All-Star Weekend. That's the only thing I was like, unless I don't know how this will work, but let me piggyback.
Because my argument that I've seen, I've seen people just say like there are dunks we haven't seen, or there's so many, like we've seen all the dunks, right?
No, we haven't. No, the hell we haven't.
That's what I'm saying.
No, we haven't. The only objection that I have to your idea or solution is the fact that we don't know some of these dudes. Your average Joe isn't going to know some of these dudes. But I'm a little slight revision. Instead of random YouTube user 1842 _ baller, instead of having him come on to the NBA All-Star dunk contest, how about a guy that might end up in the NBA?
Or that's in the G League.
Or in the G League. We have current players that are, they're getting ready. They're getting ready for the tournament. That's probably not going to be a good idea either. Damn, now just think about it.
I mean, they used Giannis's younger brother that's in the G League. He was in the skills challenge. So I mean, you could bring G Leaguers up. Maybe that's something, man.
Maybe the best way would just be doing it with college basketball players, and I don't know. Maybe they can change the culture but all it takes is one. All you need is LeBron James to be in there one time, and all of a sudden, you know what? I think I'll have to do it, but he'll never do it.
Nah, he ain't never do it. Leave it to Skip Bayless. He'll let you know every time the dunk contest happens that it's LeBron's fault. That is the way it is now.
I mean, he's not wrong. Good luck telling that to one of the LeBron fans. They're not gonna take that too well.
Yeah. So Dane, like we mentioned, the All-Star Weekend was in Cleveland. And Cleveland is, where our guy LeBron James, your guy, my guy, right? LeBron James played, a majority of his career, brought him a title in 2016. And, he was talking with the media about, his son coming into the league in a few years. And he essentially said Bronny's year in the league will be, his last year in the league, LeBron's last year will be played with his son, Bronny. Wherever his son is, that's where he'll be. Like, he basically said that, quote unquote. And I believe Bronny is a junior right now at Sierra Canyon. So that leaves, 3 or 4 more years? 3 years?
At least 2 more years, the very least.
Now,
done,
the way he worded it was kind of interesting. He said, his last year, meaning LeBron's last year, will be played with Bronny. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not necessarily saying he wants to play with Bronny his rookie year, but he's saying his last season in NBA, whenever that is, he wants to be on the same team as his
LeBron
son.
interview is very cryptic. Always
right. You know how LeBron is. So basically, he's saying to all the teams in the NBA, "You get my son, you got me on my way out." That's. Jeez. I mean. You're LeBron, like that's a LeBron type of move, right? Like I'm not surprised. Like it's been talked about, rumored for a while that he wants to play with his son.
We've seen the horrible photoshops that everybody keeps putting out.
But I think this is the first time he actually came out and said it.
Yeah.
I know we heard rumors, but what do you think about Bronny and LeBron I think it would be really cool. It's never happened before. Playing with your son in the league. What you think, bro? Another deep sigh. Uh-oh.
So I have a number of things. I think obviously as a parent, that'd be dope. Me having the 2 years of experience that I have as a parent, that'd be cool to see fleshed out on TV. Someone that is not only considered one of the greatest players of all time, an athletic spectacle, a career man in terms of his entrepreneurship and philanthropy, getting the opportunity to play on the big stage with his son is that would be huge. As a fan, that's cool. As a player, I'm feeling some kind of way. I'm up here trying to chase greatness, trying to be the best that I can be, you know, put my team on the map, and you out here using this as some sort of circus, essentially some publicity, not a publicity stunt, but for lack of a better word, a publicity stunt, so that, nice little article can be written, a little mini documentary sponsored by Netflix and ESPN 30 for 30 because you want to share the floor with your kid. Like at this point, he said, money isn't going to be an option or money isn't going to be a factor. And that, again, it's like, how do you, as a coach or as a front office, how do you sell that idea to people who are legit trying to not only better themselves, but trying to bring their team a ring? But how do you sell that to your players without alienating the locker room? Let's be
down the road or now?
Down the road. No, down the road.
Mm-hmm.
As this happens to whatever team Bronny ends up going to or whatever the case may be, sitting in that front office and say, you know what, we're going to make it happen. We're going to pull the trigger on the blank. Yeah. How do you explain that to your locker room? Like, because it's not there for, I'm here to help this team better. It's there for enjoyment. And obviously the game is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to enjoy it. Yeah. But thinking of it from the player's point of view, some of those guys, they're out here trying to get it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't want, some sort of sideshow like this. Not only, I'm not saying it'll be a distraction to the team, but there are other motives at play here that other players might have, that this might be a slap in their face. Like, hey, like I'm trying to get it here. I'm trying to go down as one of the greatest, and this is what I gotta, deal with in on the side. So that's my take on it. What you got? What you got, G?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think for a lot of players, I think they'll embrace it because it's LeBron, one of the greatest to do it. I think also, like, I'll take it a step back. I think players are used to it now, playing with LeBron and what comes with that, right?
Circus.
Because the circus, and we talk about LeBron, the GM. Every time the trade deadline comes around and the team's not playing well, like, and if you're a teammate of LeBron, you got to be looking at your phone every few seconds to see what I might be. I might have a new home. Like,
I'd be Carlos Kuzma.
Right. I think in the time where we are now in the NBA, where player movement is so fluid and rapid, I think like teams that I think teams or players that play with LeBron understand that I could be moved at like any moment, because that's how it's been. Like, whether he moves or like whatever team he's been on, we didn't see it this past trade deadline. The Lakers didn't make any moves, but most of the time it's been, LeBron, the GM, quote unquote, like player movement has been very rapid and things like that. So I think overall, like, I understand what you're saying. Of course, that's going to be an impact. Like, wherever LeBron goes, the media aspect changes for that team, for that franchise. And so I think it's just another instance where down the line, you're going to see how it impacts a franchise. Now, it'll be interesting to see if he goes to a team like, I saw Photoshop of Oklahoma City, and I think I told you about that. How interesting, like, if Bronny goes to Oklahoma City and LeBron goes to Oklahoma City, like, what that would do for that franchise, like a small media market, you know what I'm saying? And so we'll have to see down the line how it goes, but I think it'll definitely be a cool moment for, of course, LeBron and Bronny, but also the NBA. But Oh, one other thing, Dan, I forgot to put in the notes, but at halftime of the All-Star weekend, they celebrated the top 75 players that were voted on with a different throughout the NBA and stuff like that. And there was a cool moment between Michael Jordan and LeBron. Did you see that when they kind of embrace each other?
Yeah.
A lot of
Along
people,
with other things with MJ.
yeah, along with other things, and I thought, and I wanted to say this on the pod. I don't think I tweeted. I think I tweeted the video, and I said, "Life is short. Embrace the moment. Spread love." And I
Yeah.
tweeted that because there's with the media and the talk of who's the greatest of all time between Mike and LeBron. You feel like it had to cause some animosity, friction, whatever you want to call it, between the two. And
Competitors. Yeah, absolutely.
competitors, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they feel like they got respect for each other, but I
Absolutely.
think with in that particular moment for me, and I don't know what they were thinking in their heads. Like, we've never seen, like, the casual person, like, the world has never seen LeBron and MJ embrace like that. Am I right? I don't think
Yeah,
I've ever
bro.
seen it.
It was powerful. It
Right.
was a thing of beauty. Like,
And
that's
and
going to
so
be amazing moving forward in the
right.
future.
And so what I thought about immediately was Kobe
Mm-hmm.
and how, we, and of course the Bryant family, lost somebody so iconic, so legendary. And I think with Kobe being gone, and for me, in my mind, I was kind of just thinking, like, man, with all the debates that go on social media, with all the debates that go on sports talk shows, all the debates that go on between you and your friend every day walking between, all those debates you have at Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas, about
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, LeBron, Jordan, LeBron, Jordan, LeBron, LeBron, Jordan. I think for them, I think that was a moment just like, man, you're great. I'm great. We're great. Let's just not. I think it was just like a moment to kind of think about why they're both important
Mm-hmm.
and why, like, when you take a step back, sometimes these debates can be a little too much. And that, I don't know, that just came in my head, like, with how we lost Kobe, and, like, dang, it's just a life is short kind of moment. And I think that's what I felt, they felt in that moment. Just like, man, let's just, we both have love for each other. We both have respect for one another. Let's just
Mm-hmm.
realize that we're here, realize that life is short, and embrace and just show each other love. That's what I kind of got out of that. I just wanted to say that
Yeah.
on the pod
No,
before I
that's
forgot.
solid. That's solid, bro. I think with the tragic moment of what happened to Kobe Bryant and the others that were on the flight with him, like I think moments like this personify what's important. Just living in the moment, and I think that was maybe MJ and LeBron's way of giving each other their flowers.
Yes,
Because
that's exactly.
life is short. We know it. Life is
Exactly.
short, and I think the world needed to see that. Even those who are
Yes.
going to go right back to regular schedule program and go back to well, he
Mhm.
still has 6 rings and he only has 4. Like, that was
Yeah.
a moment they needed to see, even if it lasted just for a few moments for them. It was a powerful thing to see. Two dope, like, literally best athletes of their time,
Mhm.
most iconic athletes of their time, and I think Bron's, if he's not a billionaire, I think he's probably going to be one in a few years, if not, at least a decade or so. But two
Yeah.
very powerful men in terms of athletic stature and bank. So shout out to them,
Yeah.
man. Shout out to just the beautiful videos and pictures and good laughs that we got
Yeah.
to see because of All Star Weekend. Because it was seeing all those old heads marvel at some of
Mhm.
these young guys or current guys was like, yes, this is what
Mhm.
this is what we need to see, because so often we only get to see the negative side of a former player talking about, back in my day we wouldn't do this and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
Like, we got to see them marvel at each other, like, guys,
Yeah.
hey, I grew up watching you. Thank you. I'm
Mhm.
sharing the court with you, like, dope.
Yep.
So, but
Yep.
you said it perfectly in the tweet, man. Let's live for the
Yep.
moment.
Yep. Beautiful moment, man. But in the NFL, my guy, we got the combine coming up next week, March 3rd through the 6th. And there was some rumblings, Dane, about a potential boycott of the 2022 NFL scouting combine because of COVID-19 policies, right? And so in a nutshell, the NFL was not allowing the only allowing one medical support person to assist for each athlete. And there was a lot of debate about why, from the NFL's perspective, they were taking the COVID protocols into effect. That was their argument on their end. From the players' end, it was more so, okay, the atmosphere, we're on a turf. Like, there are a lot of injuries that happen. They were changing the schedule as far as how many lifts, or excuse me, I think they had it where the bench and the 40 were in the same day, which it wasn't like that before. So it was a lot of different changes that the NFL was making that the NFLPA didn't like, and they were on the verge of a boycott. But Adam Schefter tweeted on Monday that the combine has been unbubbled, quote unquote, for players in attendance. And I'll kind of summarize it. It says, as has been the case throughout the pandemic, we continue to evolve our combine policies and procedures in consultation with medical experts. While masks continue to be required for air travel and during medical exams at the combine, wearing a mask at other times while on site is recommended but not required. We encourage all players to remain within secure combine areas at all times. And I think the big argument, Dane, was just about the, players wanted to bring some of the medical staff for their own purposes and issues, and the NFL is kind of limiting that. But it seems like that, is kind of under wraps right now. What do you kind of think about that situation?
At first, the whole idea was, my thought process was, how is this going to affect the NFL's bottom line? The bottom line being, is there going to be money lost? If there's going to be money lost, some restrictions will be loosened. That's what my first thought process was. Second thought process was like, well, if these guys gather together, there are strength in numbers. We might see some change, but in my head, as an amateur, they're amateur athletes at this point. There's no way I can rationalize this working because of the fist that the NFL brings. But of course, once you diving deep into the details, you understand that some of their concerns were warranted. Where there should be no reason for players to be examined by 32 separate team doctors. Like, the redundancy of the testing, I understand that. For the NFL to be in their, countless number of decades of doing this, it still hasn't been perfected. We're talking about a multi-billion, with a B, $billion engine that still hasn't streamlined the process of, checking medicals for players. Like, it still hasn't been done properly. So I get it. The player concerns are very warranted. No one wants to be poked and prodded and measured by 32 different teams. I get that. I understand that. That's completely understandable. But it's interesting that they folded the way that they did, but I guess it makes sense when you consider all the businesses or all the business that the NFL Combine brings to those, to what is it? Indianapolis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis, yeah. All the big business that all those players bring to, that particular city at that particular time. And just to take another layer to it, back in the early 90s, this wasn't a big spectacle. This wasn't on TV. The combine wasn't some sort of event. This was, you read about this in a newspaper, or if you were, one of the kids at a camp, or if you're one of the person that works at a campus, and you'd have, the early information about, pro days and stuff like that. But this wasn't some sort of big event the way it is now. Like, now it's a huge event. It didn't used to be like this. And because the NFL found a way to make money off of it, that's why it's a big deal now. But of course, it goes back to the whole idea I had: how can this affect the bottom line? And of course, with you have 150 or so players threatening to boycott, it's like that might change a few things. So I was wrong.
That might affect that money.
Yeah, I was wrong when you initially told me about that. I was like, that's just not going to work. That's just not. There's no way.
Yeah,
because I thought back to other instances where the professional athletes couldn't stick together and put their damn minds together and do something in unison. Sure, you know what I'm talking about, but they couldn't even do it. But this is a new age of athletes, bro. I think they understand that this is a business and they have the power. The strength is in numbers, and shout out to them, bro. Like, it say like 150 players represented by like 14 different agencies.
Yeah,
like that's,
and it's like,
bro, that is huge, bro. Like,
it's like the NFL can't, like you mentioned about them, the scouting combine becoming an event where you know you can watch it on NFL Network starting on March 3rd through the 6th, and it's like, what's a combine without the players? You can't have it. That's going to affect the money coming in, right? So what can we do to change this to appease them?
You just said something. The combine is going to be televised, bro. We are watching grown ass men being measured how much they weigh and how tall they are and hand size, right? Bro, we're watching this on TV. What the heck? Like, that is crazy when you think about it. This is what we're watching these dudes run 40 yards twice. Like, legit, like the NFL makes money off of this. So for them, I think that just adds to the magnitude. For me, at least, I'm conceptualizing, understanding this in the moment. Like, this is a big deal, bro.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So sorry.
You put a bow on that one, bro. Like I
that's
think
that's crazy, bro.
It's bottom line. Like it's become a spectacle. NFL is at a point like, okay, let's not squash it, but let's handle this where we can get back to the money because we have this event coming next week. Like, you know, or wait, next week.
Yeah, it's next week,
March 3rd.
Bro. Yeah. A few years ago, freaking Adidas was offering a contract to whoever ran the fastest 40 and freaking 40. Adidas. Like that. Do you hear, like, bro, these men haven't even, like, they haven't even signed a rookie deal yet. You're offering them millions of dollars to run a 40, bro. That is crazy.
Yeah.
Man, but it's like this new age, these athletes, these guys, they got it. That right there, these owners better watch out in terms of knowing they're not about to pull that crap on these kids. I mean, some of the other guys might be conditioned to just falling in line because that's just what the culture has been. But hey, shout out to these cats, bro. Shout out to these youngins, man. They ain't, don't mess with them because they realize already the strength is in their numbers. So shout out to them, bro.
Yep. And then Brian Flores, bro, the former Miami Dolphins head coach, about a week ago, he was hired by the Pittsburgh Steelers amid the, you know, we had talked about his lawsuit before, suing the NFL for what was it called? I don't know the exact word, but basically suing about the hiring practices of the NFL.
Yeah.
Hired by Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers as the senior defensive assistant / linebackers coach.
Scary.
And quote from quote from Mike Tomlin: "I'm excited about Brian Flores joining our coaching staff, given his history of developing and teaching defensive players during his time in the NFL. Brian's resume speaks for itself, and I look forward to him adding his expertise to help our team." Questions for you: 1, were you surprised that he got hired this cycle?
I was hella surprised.
I was too.
Because the thing about it was, when I heard about it, all I read was hired Mike Flores. Brian Flores has been hired. I was like, wait a minute. Is this a prediction article or is this an outdated article? Somebody pulling up old tweets and trying to pass them off as new tweets. And then I read who was hired. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Mike Tomlin, like the Steelers organization has been far more progressive than all the other organizations. But I should have hit up Sean to see what his thoughts were about it.
I know, right?
Because you talk about somebody that's plugged in, and I said this before, and I'll say it again. You will never find a bigger fan of any team than Sean and his OU Sooners and his Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, you will never find a bigger fan of either of those two programs than Sean Moore. But should have checked him out and see what he thought about it, because I'm sure he would have brought some insightful information to it. But that's huge. But the impact that Brian Flores has on defense, because he's a defensive-minded coach. and the already existing culture of Pittsburgh, their identity is known for hitting you in the mouth defense. Like we're going to knock you the hell out defense. Like, bro, like that's
what
like,
better guy brings that mentality than
bro,
what we've seen from Brian Flores? And I'm happy he got a job. I think we will see him back as a head coach, especially getting hired so quick by Pittsburgh. I think we'll definitely see him back as a head coach. So
I was
shout
wrong
out
again.
to
I was wrong. I said he signed his retirement papers. That's what I said.
I think everybody said that. I mean, as a head coach, we'll still see if he gets there. I think we both agree that he will. But time will tell, man. Yeah. And then Aaron Rodgers, man, he put out a post a few days ago, Dane, with all these thank yous to his teammates and all that jazz, saying he's spreading love. And I won't go into it. Y'all can find his post on Instagram. But yesterday he went on the Pat McAfee show, where everybody thought he was going to announce what he was going to do, whether he was going to sign or come back to Green Bay or. Yeah, I love that show. And basically he said, no, I'm not going to decide yet. I'm not going to decide yet. I'm going to take time and kind of decide. I think, and I'll speak first on this. Aaron Rodgers is obviously at a point, I think, where he kind of just wants attention. And I mean, it's been like that for a while. He essentially made an announcement about an announcement coming, which I don't know what other reason he came on the show yesterday. I didn't even watch to see if he said anything else about it, but like, man, just make your decision. Don't feel like he's doing too much at this point.
Let me tell you something. Okay. What Aaron Rodgers did, the personification, the image that I have, unfortunately, ew. This is what Aaron Rodgers did. Aaron Rodgers went outside in some booty shorts to take out the trash. It's like, oh, by the way, I'll be taking the trash out again tomorrow. And went back in the house. There's a reason behind that. Here's the thing. One, it's alarming because the booty shorts. Like, why would you wear that? What? Why you got that on?
All right. Or you know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. You know what you're doing. Like, this is what he's literally walking around flaunting, like, oh, I know you looking, so I'm gonna give you something to look at, like a story type of situation. That's the personification. Like, I'm sorry. I apologize for everybody who has an imagination that visualize that, but like that, I mean, that's
Dane did not tell me pre-production meeting that he was going to talk about Aaron Rodgers and some booty shorts.
Hey man, that's the best way I can explain.
No, I get what you're saying. No,
this is the best way I can explain.
The boy who cried wolf kind of thing. At this point, I think everybody that's not a Packer fan or just a diehard Aaron Rodgers fan cares at this point what he's going to do. I think they're kind of fed up to a point like, man, just
it's the eye roll. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
The collective.
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
right.
Whatever. Sorry, everybody.
Kind of at this point, but yeah, I think he's just at a point where just say what you're gonna do and get on with it, and don't talk again until you do that, hey, or
you trying to shut up and dribble, my boy?
Yeah. Hey, he can shut up about a lot of other things, but we won't go there.
We ain't gonna go there.
But yeah, man,
he can throw a hell of a post pattern though.
Next time we talk about him on this show, it'll be a decision made. We ain't gonna talk about
Denver Broncos jersey.
No. I don't know, man. Anyway, the XFL, Dane, XFL and the NFL have agreed on a partnership that will focus on creating innovation programs and protecting the health of players. That was announced on Monday. The XFL is owned by The Rock and his ex-wife, Dany Garcia. And XFL is resuming play coming back in February 2023. Mm-hmm. And I was actually a part of the last XFL game before it folded during COVID. I went to the Dallas. It folded.
guy.
Dallas versus Houston game.
Mhm.
I went with Daniel and Devin. It was played at the Rangers Park. I forgot the name of the park, but it was actually pretty fun. Houston won. That's when PJ Walker was like the MVP of the XFL during that short time. He was going off, but
he was doing his thing.
Yeah.
Carolina
So
Panthers, PJ Walker.
this partnership in there, it says the NFL XFL agreement will give the NFL a petri dish to experiment with proposed rules, test new equipment, and develop prospective officials and coaches, right? So I think this is a great idea for, of course, the XFL, coming back, once again after everything. I mean, the league before COVID, it was pretty decent. Like they had the deal with Fox. The games were coming on FS1 and stuff like that. And for them to partner with the NFL, even though it's like a testing rules kind of thing, I think it's from a stability standpoint, it gives them credibility. I mean, like as far as, okay, we're working with this professional league. Of course, it's not going to be able to compete with the NFL.
Yeah, absolutely not.
But it's like
get them join them.
I think more than anything, it gives them like, hey, we're legitimate. We're trying to be for real here with this. And for the NFL, it's like, why not? Like all the rules that, the coaches and all the meetings that they have about rule proposals, they could test them in this league and see how it works. Yep. I know the XFL had that kickoff, special kickoff that they did. I don't know if you remember, Dane, where the front lines can't move until the ball is caught by the returner. I like that rule. So this will give the XFL and the NFL an opportunity to kind of see how it will work on an actual playing field. I think it's a good idea. I don't see any problems with this. I think it's a good deal for both sides.
Yeah, I think it needs to be a situation where an officiating crew, they fumble a call or several calls in the game, and then they go and get sent to the XFL for retraining.
That's great.
This is what it needs to be.
Demoting them.
Yeah, they need to experiment with using the advanced technology and ball tracing in terms of like getting some sensors and stuff like that in the pad, so we can determine did he
where the ball spot
exactly, because there's no reason why we're in a multi-billion with a B as in Beasley,
still using
and
chains.
they still can't tell. Oh, I can't tell if this guy crossed the plane or not, if his knee is down. Bro, how much money did y'all make? You lean to tell me you got to pull out an index card to tell if the ball crossed a freaking inch mark on the football field? So they can do a lot of experimenting, and I hope a lot of it is rooted in making sure the officiating crews are better, because that garbage of officiating that we saw in the Super Bowls, unnecessary.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Shout out to them.
Maybe they could test. I think I had mentioned testing or bringing in an extra official that could be in the box, kind of seeing the same stuff that we see, or watching the broadcast. A lot of stuff they could do, but I think it's a good partnership for both deals, man.
Yeah, same here, bro.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And now it is time for...
What's that sound?
No!
Nerdy news segment brought to you by...
Shout out to Keith.
Shout out to Keith. I think I tweeted a few days ago, Dane, that I think like last week I tweeted how the Batman release date snuck up on me, because I didn't realize that it was at that point it was 2 weeks away. With this episode, we'll release on Thursday. It'll be a week away, man, from the Batman finally coming to theaters. Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, and playing Penguin is let me look at the cast. I can't even think of the cast off the top of my head.
Colin Farrell.
Thank you. Paul Dano, Jeffrey Wright playing James Gordon. Like the cast is Jeffrey Wright playing. Hey, did you see that clip from the Batman that released? Where it's Batman and Commissioner Gordon talking in like the interrogating room. I guess they're talking
Mm-mm.
about a potential crooked cop. Oh, bro, you gotta go watch it.
I'm
It's
sorry,
so
man.
funny. Batman and Commissioner Gordon are like literally like how close I am to the mic. That's how they're talking. They're really close. They're talking about a crooked cop. I don't even remember the dialogue, but all of a sudden, this is a clip from the movie coming out next week.
Spoiler alert,
All of a
'cause I
sudden,
ain't seen it yet.
yeah. Spoiler alert if y'all don't want to know what the clip is. But all of a sudden, Batman just steals off on Jeffrey Wright, Commissioner Gordon, and takes off running out of
Damn.
out of the interrogating, like out of the whole police office.
Mhm.
It's so funny because you're like, why the hell did he do that? And like the dialogue between, I guess they're trying to find out if a certain cop is crooked or whatever, but he just straight steals off on him and just takes off running. But I thought that part was funny. But
I guess that.
yeah, the Batman coming out next week in theaters. Apparently, it's almost a 3-hour runtime. So if you plan on watching it, make sure you do all the bathroom necessities you need to beforehand. Be careful drinking sodas, all that good stuff, unless you don't care about getting up during the movie. But
boy said they gonna wear a diaper to the movie theaters.
yeah,
I'm good.
yeah,
I don't gotta go nowhere.
Or your diapers and all that stuff. But we hadn't talked about the Batman a lot on the past few episodes, except I think the trailer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to expect. It seems from the trailer that we're gonna get, and you know, we've seen a lot of takes on the Batman. But I think this will probably be, I think it's safe to say, the darkest tone of what we've seen so far, which I think would be a good take on it. I think for one, I'm not sure. I think on the Robert Pattinson playing Batman, I think a lot of people would be surprised. I know when we talked about him being cast, we weren't sure about how he would be as far as him portraying the role.
You mean Edward?
Yeah, our guy Edward. But I think coming out of it, I think it'll be a version of Bruce Wayne and Batman that people will enjoy. I'm excited for the movie, I guess, and so to speak.
I got you. Yeah, I've only watched 2 trailers so far. I tried to remain in the dark about it. I haven't gone on any tangents with looking at comments, looking at replies, looking on, comic book boards. I've tried to stay away from it because, it's my favorite. It's my favorite superhero. So I say that term very loosely. It's my favorite comic book character. So we'll see how it plays out. My expectations are pretty high considering that I always underestimate casts like this. Robert Pattinson, for the longest I know, the only thing I knew him was the pale-faced kid from Twilight. But shortly, just within the last few years, seeing him in different projects and wearing different hats and playing in different roles, I was like, okay, that's a good look for him. That's cool. That's dope. He's gotten better. I can believe that scene. So, I'm in for it. I'm gonna go with no expectations at all, but just gonna have a good time. Low expectations, and hopefully I can see the movie because I didn't. Your boy didn't even buy any tickets, man. Like
we talked about that.
Just dropped the ball. Just so much stuff going on, man. I legit dropped the ball, but I'm gonna see.
Yeah, you got a lot of stuff going on anyway, bro.
I'm gonna go see that mug. I'm gonna go hear that, man.
You gotta see it. One more thing about it. Of course, when Dane and I watch the movie, we'll of course talk about it on the pod. But I'm excited to get this take on the Riddler because, of course, the only version that we've seen is Jim Carrey playing the extravagant, flamboyant, version of the Riddler. But this one's a serious take on the Riddler, and I'm interested to see how it plays out. I'm excited for it. 3 hours is long. We watched Endgame was about that long, right? About 3 hours long. So, but if it's a character that you enjoy, like the Batman, I don't think it'll be much of a problem. Like, right?
You'll find a way to justify it and make sense of it if it's if it ends up being lower than what you expect, especially if you like the character. So you'll justify it. I know I would.
Right. Right. And I think the director had mentioned With Marvel, we always talk about the continuity and how it connects to the other Marvel Studios products, but this seems like to be a standalone and not a part of the DCEU. Whatever they decide with that. But yeah, who knows? Might see some surprise cameos. I don't know. Like you, Dane, I have not looked up anything besides like the trailer and that clip I told you about that they released, like the movie released itself. So yeah, Batman next week. Excited about that. If anybody else has any comments about the Batman or anything they want to tell us about, they could tell us about it in our brand new segment. Dane, are you ready for it?
Let's get it.
Let's go.
What y'all want?
You are now tuned in to the
What y'all want
segment of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast.
The What Y'all Want segment. Once again, man, Keith sent me that. And if you don't know, guys, Keith has basically musically produced this podcast. Every segment that we had, Keith has made. And I'm going to make sure that I put Keith's Instagram music where you can listen to all of it. Keith is beyond gifted.
He's talented.
Individual, the most gifted guy I've ever met. And so he sent me this last night immediately. I wanted to email it to you, Dane, so quick, but I'm like, I'm going to save it for this moment. So that was Dane's first time hearing that.
I was asleep.
Oh, yeah, you knocked out.
I fell asleep putting the baby to sleep. So I would have seen it this morning, but I'm glad I just decided to just wait to hear it when everybody else is. Bro.
Thank you.
You have to send I'm at it saved on my phone. You have to send that to me, man. But shout out to Keith, man.
Shout out to you again, Keith. I'm gonna make sure I put all Keith's stuff in the description for this podcast. But yeah, once again, he's done great things. So I gotta give my guy a shout out. But yeah, This is our new segment, the What Y'all Want segment. Last week we had a call in from our guy Brian King. Appreciate you, Brian, for kicking us off in this new segment. And dang, we got two new listeners that have sent calls. Okay. And so, let me explain. I didn't even explain what this was. So
what is it?
The What Y'all Want segment is where our listeners, our viewers can send a voice message to our podcast. And I will put that link in the description as well, where they can talk about and say anything, topic, whatever they want us to talk about in this segment, and we will discuss it. And so, Dane, I have not heard these two call-ins. I know who they're from, but I haven't actually listened to it. So I'm gonna be listening to it for the first time with you as well.
Let's wing it, man. Let's do what we do.
Let's do it.
It's professionals.
Let's do it. Caller number one.
This guy.
Hey guys, it's Royden from One Take Pod. First time, long time. I just wanted to know what y'all think about the Coach K goodbye tour. It hasn't been as big as I anticipated at the start of the year when he announced totally for, unselfishly that he was going to retire before the end of the year. Totally unselfishly. As a known Coach K hater, I don't know what to think about it because, we don't have to talk about Baylor versus Duke in 2010. We don't have to talk about it. But we've seen these retirement tours for Dirk, Duncan, Kobe in the NBA. It feels a little weird in the NCAA, but, even to go as far as to have a show about him at halftime of every ESPN Plus broadcast. Just kind of interesting. Just wanted to see what y'all think about Coach K's retirement goodbye tour. Totally unselfish by him.
Shout out to Royden from the One Take Pod. Thanks. Those guys just dropped their 100th episode, man, and been on there a few times. They do great work reviewing movies and shows. So check those guys out if you can. And I will actually put their stuff in the description as well. But yeah, Coach K. Yeah, first of all, Royden.
Awkward. So awkward announcing that.
Yeah.
So awkward.
That 2010 charge. Dane, do you remember that game y'all went with me?
Oh, I remember. I remember what happened. Yeah, I remember what happened.
Yeah.
Boy said, I'm gonna go wait in the car.
Yeah, I was so pissed. So Dane went to Sam Houston. I went to Baylor, but I for that game 2010 Elite Eight was in Houston. We went to both games.
Yeah, we went to two
Baylor
games.
blew out St. Mary's, I believe, that first game, and then the Elite Eight game was against Purdue, and it was basically the most horrible call ever.
Yeah,
he called a charge on Quincy Acey when it was clearly a block, but Dane can attest that I was very upset. We were sitting in the nosebleeds of that game.
But we was there though. We was there. We was there though. It don't even matter.
Hey,
Broke college shoes. We was there.
You know that Sting GIF where he's way at the top
in the rafters chilling.
Yeah, in the rafters. That's what we were.
Yeah, we was out there.
Yeah. I like to get that game out of my memory. But the Coach K tour, man, ESPN. What Roy is talking about, ESPN during every halftime show of every game they've shown almost. The past, since the season started, is some kind of allusion to, or turning to, or showing Coach K's last game here.
It's ego strokage, bro. It's ego strokage. That's what it is. You don't got a lot of these folks, Deonte. It's ego strokage.
I agree.
Sorry for all the fans that might be, or not sorry for all the fans. There's plenty of you fans out there. I'm not even going to name your names, but plenty of you fans that follow this man, the stench of this man around, and try to come off as this humble, kind of cool, clean cut guy. What you're doing is you're taking the attention away from the players and making this about yourself. Yeah, and he's right. It was completely unselfish.
Is it his fault? Is it his fault that ESPN is showing that? Is ESPN just gonna? I think it's the ESPN.
He ain't say no.
No, he can't. He can't stop it. I'm trying to be the devil's advocate here.
Clearly, you're not doing that good of a job of convincing me. Anywho, it's it's like taking a selfie and a video of yourself while you're at a funeral and the casket is there. It's like, hey, y'all, man, I'm sorry that this happened to my friend that you haven't spoken to in 15 years. I'm sorry this had to happen to him, but man, he meant so much to me. You said we were gonna hook up and link, talk, blah blah blah, whoop whoop whoop. It's attention seeking at its finest. Honestly, unfortunately, this is where we're at. They got to milk the cow somehow. I don't agree with it. It's a super huge turnoff for me, but at the same time, he's had a huge impact on the game and the culture itself. So I understand that part of it, but yeah, it looks sad at this point.
Dane, did you know Coach K was retiring? Did you know this was last season?
There's no way I would have known, Deonte. There's no way I would have known.
Roy, I just think it's not surprising the way that it's been brought up so many times, but I think it's just one of those situations where they just milk it until they can't milk it no more. Duke's not doing bad this year. They're like top 15. I haven't really paid much attention to Duke, but Duke, they'll always be seen as one of the blue bloods of college basketball. So, they're going to milk this thing as much as they can. But shout out to Royden. Appreciate you calling in, bro. And you guys keep rocking on with the One Take Pod. This is my pitch to Royden and the One Take Pod, Dex and Tej. We got to do another collab, man. And I'm already pitching it, Dane. We should do the when Doctor Strange 2 drops. We should do a collab with the One Take Pod.
A joint podcast. Yes. YES. Underline.
Appreciate you, Royden, for the call. And Dane, I think we got one more.
Okay. Caller on line 2.
One more. Here we go.
Yes. The question that I have for the podcast is, what do y'all think about black ownership in the NFL? And will there ever be a black owner in the NFL? What do y'all think about that? I need to hear something about that. Thank you.
Good question for the number one Panthers fan.
Yeah, he did not address himself, but that was my father. That was my dad. Dad, thank you for calling in, Kenneth Epps. one of our loyal listeners, depending on which episode he's on listening to this podcast. It may be a while till he hears this answer, but that was a great question, Dane.
Shout out to Mr.
A few
Epps.
episodes ago, we talked about the Broncos' potential owner. One was Robert Smith. The other was the mogul.
The media mogul.
I have to look up.
I forget about his name. I mean, look, he's one of only a few billionaires in the United States. I forget his name.
Byron Allen. Yeah, Byron Allen. And I think we talked about this, man. Like, even in regards to the Brian Flores situation and how we can change minorities in head coaching positions, the guys that hire those guys need to be minorities, right? And black guys and Hispanic, right? And so I think it's inevitable. I think we will get there. I'm not sure when. Yeah.
31 other guys got to be on board with it too.
Right.
31 other owners have to be on board with it too. It has to be the right timing, the perfect storm. So
yes, stepping into that or putting that foot down, that or what you said earlier, all we need is one, right? I think we will get there. I'm hoping it's this year with the Broncos, who currently are in search of an owner, and we'll have to keep tabs on how that situation goes. But I think we will get there. I think it's important, and I think once we get that step, this is just for me what I think. I think that will get the ball rolling as far as the the high school head coaching diversity in the NFL. What were you about to say?
No, I was about to make a crack about y'all's existing owner right now, but I'll pass up on that opportunity. But yeah, no, great question, Mr. Epps, man. Shout out to you.
Thanks, Dad.
It reminded me the other day we were talking and somebody referred to your brother. Somebody referred to Bo as Junior. I think it might have been his wife. Shout out to Tasha. She referred to him as Junior. He's like, "Hey man, don't call me that." He said, "My mama don't even call me Junior." We laughed so hard because I remember that. I forget that he's a junior, but I was like, man, my mama, he got so like, man, my mama don't even call me Junior, man. So shout out to the Epps family just in total, man. But Mr. Epps is solid, man. Great question. But shoot, we gonna see. Just it's all about opportunity. It's not even so much as about we need this to happen, but it's just about opportunity, just getting a fair shake. Even if it's a complete disaster, that dragging the Broncos organization down to the depths of the deepest depths of the Grand Canyon. It doesn't matter if that happens, but it's a step in the right direction because they gave another brother an opportunity. But shout out to you, Mr. Epps. Even though you're the biggest Panthers fan that I know personally, your expertise and your questions are invaluable to not only this podcast but to everyone that's listening. So shout out to you, Mr. Epps.
Thank you, Dad. Yep. Appreciate Royden and my dad for calling in, and we'll definitely continue to do this segment. We'll have the link to be able to send a voice message to us in the description of this podcast. Yes. And what is the name of this segment, Dane?
What y'all want?
What y'all want?
You are now tuned in to the
What Y'all Want
segment of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast.
You know what I picture? I picture a group of 6 R&B singers, guys and girls, and all doing a jump step in the rain, trying to help their homie get their girlfriend or significant other back.
That temptation step.
Yeah. What y'all? And then at the what y'all want, they're like, what y'all want? Yeah. Shout out to
Thank you, Keith. Yeah,
shout out to Keith, man. That was
all key stuff in the
that's dope,
in the
man.
description, man. But episode 75 of the Duo Sports and Stuff podcast, Dane, coming to a close, my guy. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Nah, man. Just hoping all of our Texans out there, or just anybody that's in the midst of cold and harsh weather conditions, y'all being safe out there, staying warm. Drive safe, man. There's always somebody out there that wants you home safe, that needs you in their life, needs you on this earth. And to do that, we all have a moral responsibility to travel safe and make smart decisions while we're driving. Because unfortunately, you're not driving for yourself out there. You're driving for everybody else on the road. So Y'all be safe, man. Stay warm and drink your cocoa and eat your Oreos. You know what I'm saying? So,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Dane couldn't have said it better. Stay safe, stay warm, all those good things, man. Episode 75. Make sure that you rate us, subscribe, all those good things. Share with a friend. It really helps out the pod. All those good things. You can check out our website, www.theduossportsandstuffpodcast.com, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. I think that's it. But
Yeah, man.
Dane, man, as we close, man, gotta give a shout out to Keith once again. And
Facts.
I think I'm gonna close this pod, Dane. One of my favorite songs by Keith, because he does the music thing. He does it well.
Play it.
We're gonna close it right here. It's called Full Circle.
Mm-hmm.
Full Circles by Keith.
Facts.
Goes by High Keith. That's his music name. But I have all
Alias,
his stuff
man.
in the description.
Alias,
All that
man.
good stuff from the duo. We are signing out episode 75.
Now we back to where we started. Keeping the garden, step back, shot with the left like Harden. Full circle, walk in the flames, no retardant. Keeping it cool, water. To be a king like James, ain't playing no games, no reset, button just change. Other perspective.